In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the late 1931 Ford Model A and change out the carburetor to what was a very sort of rare, low production carburetor made for the late 31 cars. In the 1930 model year, Henry Ford ran into some difficulties with certain states, I believe like Pennsylvania. The gas shutoff valve historically on the Model A was located under the dashboard, which meant it was inside the passenger compartment. They felt that this was unsafe, and they needed to, come up with a way to relocate it and move it. So they added its indentation to the firewall in the late 1931 model year cars to relocate the gas valve to underneath the hood, so that Henry Ford could resume selling his cars in those states where they hadn't, that had kind of stopped him in the 1930 sales year. They, felt it was really just a safety issue. So in relocating that valve, they, needed to change tooling, modify the firewall, and a special carburetor was needed that was called a side inlet. The reason the carburetor had to change was that there was no longer room for a filter bowl, which historically was able to fit up against the firewall. It needed to be located down on the carburetor itself. And being that this was kind of a half-year change, because, after the 31 model year, the Model B Ford came out with the V8. So this was only really a temporary thing, and it was kind of surprising that Henry went along with it. But I managed to track one down. They're not easy to find, and they're very expensive, but I did find one because I want my car to be, try to get it back to being as correct as possible. So that's a late 31 carburetor, and I'm going to go through changing it out. There's a proprietary sort of special gas line, which you could bend, but one of the Model A suppliers makes it available. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this change out. Should be simple. So the first thing we'll do is pull the old carburetor off of there. New gasket always. We'll take care of the choke rod grommets. Now we'll make up the special gas line. This is pretty hard to find. There is one one of the Model A part suppliers out there does offer this. So. Oh, I'm just dropping everything today. Also going to stick one of these accessory air filter things on here. They never came with any of that from the factory. It was just an open intake. And perhaps the biggest insult of all is using a 10 millimeter wrench on your 1931 American car. And let me see if it'll fire up. I'm not going to run it too long. It's pretty low on coolant. There's a pretty healthy leak from that water pump. I need to rebuild that water pump or replace it this winter. And I think the other carburetor might have been leaking, so it might be a little flooded, but let me see if I can get it to start. Oh, it's running okay. Obviously, I need to drive it and adjust the carburetor, but I hope you enjoyed this short little video about the uniqueness of the late 31 cars. It's kind of a neat thing to own one. You know, a lot of people say Model Ts and Model As are a dime a dozen. They're all the same. But they're actually not. There's, even in the Model T realm, there's tons and tons and tons of variations year to year. And you can spend a lifetime figuring them out and all the differences and all that stuff. But, you know, I'm glad I ended up with this late 31 car. It's unique in its own right. It's a good car. And having the correct partial year carburetor back on it is just one of those things. It's kind of a neat thing to do to make the car closer to stock as possible. But anyway, thanks for checking it out, and I'll catch you on the next one.